Dan, appreciate the time as always. How you been, my friend?
I'm doing good, bud. How are you doing, man?
Well, I'm doing fantastic. I know it's been a while, but appreciate you jumping on board today as it's very busy for you during football season. Let me start you off with the Bills. We know the story now. Another disappointing loss. You see Ken Dorsey get fired today. Joe Brady's taken over as the offensive coordinator. If Joe called you and said, Dan, I evaluate your insight, I want to know how to change the Bills' offense and get this thing fixed, what would you say to him?
Yeah, number one, take the quarterback, put him under center for at least 30% of your offensive snaps. I think not only does that help Josh, it helps their offensive line, it helps the receivers. Number two, they're great at it. It's not just kind of – so, Zach, when you go under center and you run the football a little bit and you tie that run action to play action, everybody's job is easier. The offensive line, their job is easier. The receivers have more time to get open down the field. Josh has got maybe a little clearer windows. They can create explosive plays, which they've been very bad at this year. So, starting point that. Number two, they got to get less predictable. When they line up in their 2x2, two guys on the right, two guys on the left, shotgun, they're running really one of two plays, an RPO or a short end to Stephon Diggs. So the predictability of their offense is got to be, they've got to become more varied in their stuff. Number three, they got to build more pass game through Steph as the number one guy. We are trying to get the ball to Stephon Diggs, and we're not trying to throw him 5-yard passes. We're trying to throw the ball into some chunks and some explosive elements down the field to him. So there's more to that. But those are like those three starting points that I would sit here and say that's got to be something that changes.
I don't think it's salvageable in terms of Sean McDermott. I just think that relationship, and I like Sean a lot, it's run its course now, and they've reached an apex under Sean, and I think they need a new voice in. You know, I know it's easy, and I led this show off today saying with the stuff going on at Michigan, maybe Harbaugh's looking to go back to the NFL. I keep on going to Harbaugh and the Bills, and it just feels like the perfect fit. What are your thoughts on that?
Wow, yeah. So in relation to Harbaugh and the Bills, Harbaugh's track record speaks for himself when it comes to success, when it comes to his development and usage of young quarterbacks, you know, and getting those guys to play at high levels. So whether it's Buffalo or any team that might bring him on board, like it makes sense. He again, the track record speaks for itself. I don't know if I'm there with Sean McDermott just yet, Zach. I remember 4 or 5 weeks into the season, this was the number one offense in football. Josh was playing MVP level football, and it was arguably the best team in ball. And then ever since, like that, you know, almost like going over to London, it feels like this is a different football team now. Part of that is injuries, obviously, and the demise of the offense. So I still think that there are things that could be righted for this football team to get back into that mix. Their next month is brutal, but I'm not ready to say it's Sean McDermott's not their future as the head coach.
Dan Orlovsky here with us. How do you view Russell Wilson now as a quarterback?
Yeah, Russell's playing good football. Is it clean football? No. Is it ball distribution on time and rhythm football? No, but that's not who Russell is. And I think myself and other people maybe kid ourselves when they got Sean Payton thinking he would become that. He's not. But some of that playmaking and elusiveness is back. And so Russell Wilson's played good football. And Zach, I was asked this maybe 6 weeks ago by Greeny, 5 weeks ago. He was like, man, Russell's playing bad, and, you know, should they be thinking about the future? And my point was, if Russell keeps playing the way that he has played the first month, they won't, and they won't need to. And I kind of still remain adamant about that is, if Russell continues to play this way, the quarterback question in Denver, at least for the short term, is going to be Russell Wilson.
You know, it's kind of funny because for the last 9-10 weeks, all we've done has, and I've been guilty of this, say Russ is probably going to be gone for the Broncos after this year because that was the conversation before the start of the season. And even the same thing was said about Kyler Murray. When was he going to get back? He comes back, and Kyler Murray wins a game for the Cardinals, only their second victory of the season. Right now it feels like, Dan, Kyler next year going to be back with the Cardinals, and also, like you just said, it does feel like that Russell's going to be back with the Denver Broncos.
Yeah, it feels that way with Denver. And part of that narrative with the Russell-Denver situation, Zach, was they were so bad. and it was, well, this team's going to have like the first or second pick in the draft potentially. So and we know how special some of these quarterbacks coming out. So now that the team is doing better and Russell's playing well, mid-November doesn't feel like they're going to have one of those early draft picks. In relation to Kyler in Arizona, I was in many ways blown away by what Kyler did on Sunday. Did not look like a guy who had missed a year of football. Did not look like a guy who came off ACL surgery. It's one game. Played really well. It's impressive. Great start. Hats off to him. I want to see if he can continue to string it together. I think the more impactful part of the Kyler conversation is, to my knowledge, his contract extension doesn't actually start until next year. So, while moving on from him might be a thought, financially it's just going to be outrageous because you're never going to get performance from that contract at all. So he keeps playing the way he did on Sunday, and because of the makings of the contract, I can see it.
Wrapping up with Dan Orlovsky, I saw your colleague at ESPN, Dominique Foxworth, said that right now Dak Prescott is playing like he's the best quarterback in the NFL. I disagree with that. I would not even say that he's the best quarterback in the state of Texas right now. I think C.J. Stroud's playing better football against better teams than Dak Prescott is. How'd you react to that when you heard that today on Get Up?
Yeah, I love Fox. Yeah, I agree. CJ's played better. Dak's played really good. He's had one awful game, but he's played really good. He beat the Giants, who have been just falling apart over the last couple of weeks and decimated by injuries. I don't think he's played quarterback better than Jared Goff has played. I don't think he's played quarterback better than Tua Tagovailoa has played. I don't know if he's played better than Jalen Hurts, even though Jalen has had some interceptions that have been uncharacteristic. So that is a true thing. So I don't know if Dak has been unbelievable. Played great against Philly a couple weeks ago. I think that was more of a Philly thing than an unbelievable Dak thing. So we'll see when he plays against Detroit here in a couple weeks how they play and whatnot. But I will give him credit. He's playing good football.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about the Lions. What are your expectations for them the rest of the way? Because they are maybe the easiest team to root for and pull for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I think the NFC is two clear teams, San Francisco and Philadelphia. And then there is a group of Dallas and Detroit that probably is in that second tier. I don't know if I'm ready to put Seattle in that yet, but they could be in that conversation. Detroit can go score with anybody. And how you want them to score. You want them to throw it, you want them to run it, you want them to screen you. However, I think the concern is, can they be good enough on defense? They're definitely better than they were last year, but can they be good enough against teams that can score, which is obviously those three teams in the NFC that I just mentioned outside of Detroit, to give their offense a chance? I think that's going to be the unknown. Some of the injuries on their back end have played a part in that, and they got to get pass rush outside of Aiden. But they can go score with anybody, man. So I do think that they will be in the mix for that Final Four NFC group.
Your best educated guess, Dan Orlovsky. Where is Bill Belichick coaching next year?
Well done. I'll answer it this way, Zach. I don't think that Coach Belichick is coaching in New England, and that's shocking to say.
Do you think he's potentially coaching with the Commanders or the Chargers, Dan, next year?
I think if both those teams make decisions to move on from their guys, the Chargers are intriguing because of Justin. What happens in Chicago? What happens in Washington? I hope Arthur Smith keeps it in Atlanta because I'm a big Arthur Smith guy. So I think all of those organizations, in any organization that decides if and when they move on from their coach, is probably going to call Belichick and or the Patriots to see what their situation is. But the way things are going in New England, it just doesn't feel like he's going to be there.
You know Belichick loves the Giants. Could the Giants maybe be in play? I don't think they're going to move on from Dable after 2 years, but does Belichick change the equation?
Wow. I don't know if he would do that because the ties to the Patriots and maybe out of respect with that. And I'm with you. I hope the Giants don't move on from Brian Dable because I'm a fan.
Gotcha. So have I said the team yet that you supposedly know? I saw this clip go viral today. Have I said the team yet? Like, that's what I'm trying to figure out here. I was trying to be slick, but I guess I wasn't.
Oh, no. I know what you're trying to do. It's well done. Again, you hear rumors all the time about stuff, so it's like, I heard this rumor. I've never heard it before, but it was surprising because it's Coach Belichick to me. So, who knows if it's got legs or whatnot, but I'm closer now to believing it's not New England.
Gotcha. So come on, Dan. Just between you and I, who's the team? Let's go. We've been friends for years. I gotcha. I'll let you run. I appreciate the time. You've been awesome on ESPN. I enjoy watching you talk about football wherever it is. Thanks so much for doing this, and you be well.
All right, buddy. Thanks, man.
There you go. Dan Orlovsky joining us.